Have you noticed this strange situation? We constantly find ourselves talking about the boomer and millennial generations. We examine Generation Z as if they were a new species, as if they had magically appeared. But there's another generation we forget, one that's almost never mentioned, invisible, unnoticed. That generation is Generation X, born between 1965 and 1980. They are your colleagues who never complain. The people you travel with on the bus, the people you sit and chat with on the same park bench. Your mothers and fathers whom you sometimes wonder why they're so indifferent. The people who created the internet but didn't share every moment with everyone. And here's what nobody tells you. Of all the generations that have experienced psychological behaviors, they are probably the most misunderstood. They were the generation of children who carried their keys around their necks. Imagine this. The year is 1975. You are 9 years old and you arrive at an empty house alone. Because both your mother and father are at work. There's no such thing as a smartphone. There are no security cameras in the house. Your parents have no chance to check on you. You walk into the house alone, prepare your own snacks to eat, do your homework alone, and wait for your parents to come home. A study published in an American journal revealed that by 1984, around 7 million children aged 5 to 13 were regularly left unsupervised after school. This means an entire generation learned very early on that they couldn't rely on the constant presence of adults around them. That home, where they were alone, not only turned them into self-sufficient individuals, but also taught them that their behavior and actions had real consequences. Consequences they couldn't handle through talking. When their parents came home at the end of the day, you always knew where to stop and what to do. Rules were enforced very quickly and very strictly. Nobody cared about how you felt emotionally or wanted to talk about it. When you stepped outside the rules, you paid the price instantly. This psychological state created what researchers call a high probability environment. That is, an environment where actions and consequences are directly linked without any delay. Your brain learned to predict outcomes in real time. That's why Generation X has the ability to think 3 steps ahead in a way that surprises younger generations. Generation X grew up watching their parents talk big about stability, then see divorce rates rise throughout the 1970s and 1980s. They saw people work hard in companies, giving their all with all their loyalty, only to be fired when the next wave of layoffs came. Everyone told them, work hard, follow the rules, and life will fall into place. But then the rules changed right before their eyes. So yes, psychologists might call it defensive pessimism, but Generation X just calls it being realistic. They aren't exactly cynical. They've more like built an emotional armor. They were praying for good things to happen. But deep down, they were expecting the rug to be pulled out from under them and their feet to be tripped. Because frankly, it's always been like this. And that's a big reason why you hardly ever hear about them on social media. They grew up in an era where privacy was the norm. When you made a mistake as a kid, maybe only a few people knew about it, and the matter would then just end on its own. There were no smartphones, no viral videos spreading like they do now, just some weird memories in the parking lot or basement. The idea of putting your life on display for strangers to see doesn't excite them. It seems risky and dangerous. It's not about not having technology and not doing it. It's about learning early on that the less people know about you, the safer you'll be. Generation X basically made irony a shield. Make jokes, take a detached approach to things, laugh it off before it hurts. You can see exactly where that comes from. They grew up in the shadow of the Cold War. Teachers talked about nuclear war as if it were just another rainy day. Schools did trench warfare drills as if a simple line of desks would save everyone. While adults act as if everything is going to vanish into thin air, they also insist you shouldn't worry. So you get used to 2 conflicting ideas at once, and learn to keep a little distance just in case. But the truly fascinating thing is this. Despite all this, Generation X developed a distinctive work style that stands out even today. They don't talk about it, and they don't share any information about it. They just do it. This work discipline was shaped at an early age through jobs that seem almost outdated today. Delivering newspapers, very early in the morning, bagging things at the grocery store, working at the checkout counters where you had to calculate change in your head when the machine broke down. These weren't resume-building jobs. These were a stark introduction to the adult world where a 10-year-old could be responsible for delivering news to the entire neighborhood. They watched how their parents' generation was ruined by corporate restructuring. So they never believed in corporate loyalty, but they are extremely loyal to their own abilities. They can't control whether they get laid off, but they can control whether they'll be the most valuable person in the room when layoffs happen. A strange paradox lies at the heart of Generation X's psychology. They are simultaneously the most independent and the most quietly collaborative generation. They never ask for help. They do everything themselves and have been doing so since the age of 9. But if you need help, they will appear without creating drama or posting on social media. This stems from the strong bonds they form with friends out of necessity when their parents aren't around. And let's talk about their relationship with authority, because it's a complex issue. They respect competence, not titles. If you earned your position through genuine skill, they will follow you everywhere. If you're someone with only a fancy title and don't know what they're doing, they have no patience. Generation X questions authority because throughout their childhood, they witnessed firsthand the terrible decisions of inadequate authority figures. They encountered a world full of contradictions, Cold War anxieties, the AIDS crisis, economic recessions, divorce culture, and learned to cope with uncertainty without waiting for explanations. By the time the youngest members of Generation X graduated from college, the internet bubble had burst. The oldest among them were right at the peak of their growth when the 2008 financial crisis hit. They have repeatedly experienced economic hardship, so they are more likely to have multiple sources of income. This isn't because they have an entrepreneurial mindset, but because they've learned that nothing in life is permanent. Generation X possesses the ability to cope with what some researchers describe as anxiety-tinged self-esteem patterns. They are incredibly adept at dealing with crisis situations. However, this ability often stems from their unwillingness to be dependent on others. A study published in the Journal of Adult Development in America shows that members of Generation X have lower levels of seeking social support during stressful periods. The real reason isn't that they lack people to ask questions to, but that asking questions feels like admitting defeat. This enhanced self-esteem also manifested itself in how they processed information. Before the internet, information had a different place in our lives. Generation X spent hours in libraries searching for a single book that might contain the information and answers they needed. Accessing information had a physical cost. It required effort and time. Therefore, they placed a different value on everything they learned. Cognitive psychologists describe this as deeper encoding. Information that requires effort to acquire takes a more permanent place in memory. They learn to fix things with their hands, like when your bicycle chain comes off the sprocket or your faucet breaks. You didn't call a mechanic. You flipped the bike over, got oil on your hands, and fixed the problem. This created a mechanical intuition, enough patience, and a belief that you could control the physical world with a screwdriver. And now they are watching their children grow up in a completely different world. A world of helicopter parenting, constant surveillance, and social media documenting everything. They gave their children the attention they never received themselves. But sometimes they worry that they made them too soft, too dependent, too visible. Because in the Generation X worldview, being visible to everyone means being vulnerable. The truth is, Generation X may be the last generation to truly understand what it means to be alone with your thoughts, to be bored, to solve problems without searching for the answer on Google. They are not better than other generations, they are just different. They were shaped at a unique moment in history when the old world was dying and the new world had not yet been born. They are the bridge generation, and bridges don't get much attention. They're just doing their job there, holding everything together, expecting nothing in return. And perhaps that's something most characteristic of Generation X. They don't care if anyone notices or not. If this resonated with you, please subscribe. And if you want to support these in-depth analyses, please like and share our video with people around you. I would be truly grateful for your support.